St. Joseph Church has been a part of my life for more than 60 years. My grandparents grew up in this parish when it was more of a residential neighborhood. They were married here, and then they moved down Canal Street to St. Anthony Parish, but grandmother and grandfather had an attachment to the place. And one Sunday afternoon when I was about 6 or 7, grandmother brought me to a parish fair that was being held in the yard over here. But before we went to the fair, she brought me into church. We stood in the center of the main aisle in front of the altar, and she asked me to look up at the painting of the crucifixion. She pointed out St. John on the right side and his clasped hands and said, "Now, Beth, those are your grandfather's hands. When he was a young man, he was friends with the artist. He would come on his lunch hour, they would have lunch together and visit. And one day, the artist said, 'Johnny, I can't get St. John's hands right. Come stand here.'" Now, grandmother spoke of that with great pride, and I could tell that she wanted me to remember it, and I have never forgotten it. It's a beautiful image. I only knew his hands when he was an older man, and he had the Irish thin skin. You can see the veins, and they were a real old man's hands, but they were his hands. And I was proud of him and couldn't wait to get home and tell him the story that I had seen his hands. My grandparents were a bright spot in my childhood. There were many bright spots, but they were wonderful, good storytellers. To spend the night at their house was just a joy. And I was born on St. Joseph's Day, so that was part of the connection. She pointed out to me St. Joseph's picture on the other side of the church, and I just felt like this was a special place. My grandparents were also married here at St. Joseph's Church about 3 years after that painting was placed in above the main altar. They were married in 1918, 100 years ago this year.